Draw your last pathetic card so I can end this, Yugi.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba, but it does contain the unstoppable Exodia.
What's up guys, it's Megan giving you another deck for Evolution. Today guys, we're going on the casual side and this time we are making you guessed it, an Exodia deck. This deck's of course my own opinion at the end of the day, and it's completely cool if you guys disagree about any of the cards that I do show in this video. Please bear in mind, in my opinion, when I looked to try and make this deck, there was like two variants. You had like the Heart of the Underdog, where you just rely on pure RNG, hoping to keep drawing those normal monsters through Heart of the Underdog in order to keep drawing cards. The downside is, the majority of the time you can just open with bricky normal monsters and they don't really do it. I decided to go the other route and go for the Mystic Mine like store tactics, like using cards to like store my opponent while trying to like put in draw cards to draw, and then obviously searching off with cards like Sanguine, for instance. So we decided to go with that, and it is the best one that I come up with. Like I came up with this with chat, and it's what we come up with at the end of the day, and it was actually a very fun one to play. It's like the first replay, I forgot to take out a few cards, so that one is different than the other ones, but it was such a clutch anime draw out at the end. I just thought I just had to include it in. So if you're struggling to make this deck, guys, or any deck that I've shown so far, check out the card holder. If I tell card is in this game or not, tell you where to find, such as any of the campaign jewels, any of the challenge mode jewels, any of the card packs. That is in the description down below. And with that, let's get into the video. Starting us off, guys, is of course the 4 garnets for the 5 garnets, which is left leg, left arm, and right leg of Exodia. Obviously, you need that with Exodia the Forbidden One in order to win the duel. We are running one Apprentice Illusion Magician. She is a garnet in the deck because I use her in order to go in order to special mount Magician Souls. However, she's not a dead card because if you do manage to draw into her, you can special summon her simply by discarding a card from your hand. So if you've got like a dead card, for instance, if like Metaverse, if you've already got Mystic Mine on the field, stuff like that. And because she's a spellcaster, you can play Spellbook of Knowledge for her and tribute her, draw 2 cards. Or because she is again a dark attribute, you can banish her off Allure of Darkness to draw two more cards as well from that. So she's not a dead card. As for Battle Fader, guys, I decided to put in Battle Fader because again it is a dark attribute, very nice, works well with Crush Card Virus and all. So again with Allure of Darkness, Battle Fader I use this as protection because for instance, your opponent's you can go up against a deck, so your opponents are very aggressive, so simply setting a monster or just relying on your simple traps, not enough. Battle Fader is great because your opponent can't call by the graveyard. I decided this over Swift Scarecrow because Swift Scarecrow you have to send to the graveyard in order to end the battle phase. Battle Fader just special summons itself to the field, gives you a monster, and then ends the battle phase. And also, if it leaves the field via its effect, it's banished. So again, you still can't be called by the graved. And also it's great because it's level 1, you can link it off into Relinquish Anima or Link Rebo, and also because again it's a dark attribute, you can just Lure Darkness it anyway, or Crush Card Virus to kind of disrupt your opponent even more. Using 2 copies of Card Guard D, it is absolutely great with Mystic Mine because Mystic Mine, the less monsters you have in the field the better. And with Card Guard D, you simply normal summon it, tribute it, draw 2 cards, and then it ends your turn pretty much. And you can't special summon the turn you activate this effect. So for instance, if you special summon a monster, then you can't play Card Guard D's effect, sadly. But say for instance you've got Mystic Mine on the field, you can just play Card Guard D, your opponent's got more monsters than you, just tribute off Card Guard D, yes it ends your turn, but because you've still got Mystic Mine on the field, your opponent can't do anything anyway. 1 copy of Exodia the Forbidden One, the other one to round off the Exodia pieces. You need them all in order to win the duel. We are running those 3 copies of Magician Souls because Souls is a great card because again it has got 0 attack and defense, which means it's great for Crush Card Virus. It's a spellcaster, so you can use Spellbook of Knowledge on it to draw 2 cards. It's a dark attribute, so you can play Allure of Darkness on it, draw 2 cards. And also its own effect lets you send up to 2 spell or traps in your hand or field to the grave and draw that many cards. So for instance, if you had, Mystic Mine's already on the field and you have Metaverse in your hand, just send the Metaverse to the grave, draw an extra card. Again, all about drawing with souls, that's why I put her in. Using that 3 copies of Sanguine, against a dark attribute, Allure of Darkness if you really want, and also it's got 1000 or less attack points, it's eligible with Crush Card Virus. And if this card just leaves the field, so if it's destroyed by battle, by card effects, if it's linked summon away, if you tribute it off a Crush Card Virus, however it leaves the field, you get to add a monster from your deck, which is 1500 attack or less. Originally of all our monsters, you could add the Prophecy if you want to draw cards, the Soul draw cards, you could add an Exodia piece, you could add the Card Guard D, you could add the Battle Fader. It's up to you what you want to add with Sanguine. Speaking of Prophecy, aside to adding this, because you get to add a spellbook spell from your deck to your hands. You could search out the Knowledge if you've already got the secrets, or if you want to draw the secrets, so then searches out the spellbook of Knowledge. Just from playing a simple Prophecy, you can thin out your deck by like 4 cards. So really great. That's the reason I play it. And also is you tribute it off with Knowledge. So again, if you do have that Mystic Mine up, it doesn't affect you. I am in that 1 Toon Dark Magician Girl because again, it is you can send to the graveyard for Magician Souls if it is in your deck, so it's not that bad. Upon being a bit more for it, I realised I could have actually just added 2 Mass Sorcerer, since it is also a Toon card, so it's searchable with your Toon table of contents, and also it's a dark spellcaster, so you can still Lure of Darkness it and still Spellbook of Knowledge. So if you want to, you can just add 2 Mass Sorcerer instead of 2 Dark Magician Girl. So pick your poison with this. On to some spells, guys. I'm running 2 copies of Lure of Darkness because you just banish 2 of your dark monsters, or you just banish 1 of your dark monsters, sorry, that's in your hand. Draw 2 cards. Yes, do not banish 1 of your Exodia P. Says, I know the dark, but try not to banish them. We are running 1 copy of Mystic Mine. It is limited to 1, otherwise I won free within a heartbeat. If your opponent doesn't have an out to Mystic Mine, this 1 card can enough win you the duel its own. So if your opponent controls more monsters than you, they can't attack and they can't activate monster effects. So that means they have to have a spell or trap that either destroys Mystic Mine or banishes it, or just do something to get it off the field. If they don't have that, they lose flat out. It's that simple. Like, that's why Mystic Mine is an absolute terror. The only thing they can do is try to match you with monsters, because if you both control the same amount of monsters, Mystic Mine is destroyed. So try not to summon a monster if you know it's going to stay on the field, because if your opponent just goes down to 1 monster, they've got out to Mystic Mine. We are running that 1 Day of Peace because I tried to stay away from cards that allowed my opponent to draw, because I have played against a few Exodia decks in the past, and all of them kept adding cards like Dark Bribe, Dark World Dealings and stuff like that kept making me draw cards. And it was that making me draw cards that kept giving me combo extenders. So I just kept extending and pushing through the plays and obviously winning the duel. So I tried to limit as many making my opponent draw cards as possible, but 1 Day of Peace is so good I just had to include it in. Because both players draw 1 card, but neither takes damage until the end of your opponent's turn. So it's kind of like a freebie turn, so it kind of protects you during your opponent. I only want 2 copies of Pod Duality. You could bump this card up to 3. I decided to 2 for now. You basically check the top 3 cards of your deck, add one to your hand, shuffle the rest into the deck. Nice and simple. You can't special on the turn you activate this card, but it's a nice and simple card. I am running 2 copies of Extravagance. 2 was nice for me because a lot of my cards send to draw. So with Extravagance, if you activate it, you can draw 2 cards, which is nice, but you can't draw cards for the rest of the turn. However, you can still play cards that lets you add cards from your deck to hand. So let me explain. If I played Pot of Extravagance, I can still play Pot of Duality, because Pot of Duality lets me add a card from my deck to my hand. It doesn't let me draw a card. But I can't play Spellbook of Knowledge, where Spellbook of Knowledge lets you draw 2 cards. So you can still play stuff like the Prophecy to add a spellbook to your hand, like the Secrets to add a spellbook to the hand, or a Toon Table of Contents to add a Toon card from your deck to hand. You can still play them because they don't draw, it lets you add. So you can still play Part of Extravagance and still thin out your deck even with its restriction. And that's the Spellbook of Knowledge. Because it's a spellbook, it's searchable off Prophecy, and it's searchable off Secret. You just send a spellcaster you control to the grave, draw 2 cards. Nice and simple, and because, again, you're getting rid of your monster, you can still play around it with Mystic Mine. And as for Secrets, I decided to add this because if this is the only card you have, you can search off Prophecy, which can then search out Knowledge, and then you contribute Prophecy, draw 2 cards. Or if you do it the Prophecy way, summon it, you can just play Secrets. Secret searches out Knowledge. That way you're filling your deck even more, and you're drawing out cards from it. Really great. As in and as it's kind of the same for Toon Table of Contents. You basically get to add a Toon card from deck to hand, including itself, which means you just play it, add another one, play it again, add another one, play it again, add the Toon Dark Magician Girl to your hand. Nice and easy. It does lend you on the Toon Dark Magician Girl, which means you can then play Allure of Darkness, get rid of Toon Dark Magician Girl, draw 2 cards. This is what I'm saying, you could kind of go for the 2 Mass Sorcerer, because then you can just add on that, summon it, then play, then you could play Knowledge, and draw 2 cards off that way. So pick your poison what you want to do it. I just did it to thin out my deck by 4 cards. And also for Upstart Goblin, you get to draw a card, nice and easy. And I decided to go for some trap cards, guys. I decided to go a bit defensive because, again, you can't just keep relying on your drawing because obviously it's RMG what you're going to draw. You could just literally end up not getting anything decent. So Crush Card Virus was a nice addition to this deck, which, again, because I made this deck on stream, someone on stream actually suggested this, and it was absolutely fantastic because a lot of our monsters are dark anyway, and they've got low attack points. So you tribute a dark monster you control with 1000 less attacks, Sanguine, Magician Souls, your Battle Phase. Say for instance you play Battle Phase effect to negate the attack, just tribute it off, play Crush Card Virus. What it does is destroys all monsters your opponent controls on the field and in their hand that has 1500 or more attack points, which is a very powerful effect. And then your opponent can, so this is their choice if they want to, destroy up to 3 monsters in their deck that's 1500 or more attack points. So it mills out a little bit of their deck, but you can destroy your opponent's hand and you get to see your opponent's hand as well, so you can kind of play around what your opponent has. So very nice card. I am running 1 copy of Metaverse because this trap searches out Mystic Mine. You might think, whoa, why are you not running Terraforming? The reason why I'm not running Terraforming is because I can play Mystic Mine with Metaverse during my opponent's turn. So if I know, for instance, I've got like a monster on the field like a Sanguine, I can just let them pop off my Sanguine. I draw a card, I play Metaverse, play Mystic Mine, my opponent's locked out of doing stuff. That's why I kind of like prefer the trap version rather than the spell. And then I'm running 3 copies of Quaking Mirror Force. By all means, you don't need to run this card. I just ran it because again it gave me a bit more protection. The reason why I'm running this specific Mirror Force is because with Quaking it swaps all monsters your opponent controls into face down defense mode, and they can't flip them back face up. Yes, it doesn't work on link monsters, so you could always add like Drowning to like bounce them back into the hand if you wanted to. I just did it because if your opponent like normal summon, synchro summon, Xyz summon, whatever, it will just be flipped face down. Then obviously they can't flip it back up. So that's why I did it, just to stall out my opponent and gave me a bit more like breathing space. Onto my extra deck, guys. I really use the extra decks, obviously rolling extravagant, so all these cards free enough to gets banished. The only ones that don't is of course the Link Karibo and the Relinquished Anima. So Link Karibo, we are running some level 1 monsters like Battle Fader and Souls, so you get to go into Link Karibo, can actually save you if you're being attacked. Because obviously you can just tribute it off and obviously that monster type becomes 0, so really nice. And then Relinquished Anima, you need 1 level 1 monster again, Souls and Battle Fader can go into this. And then if this card points to opponent's monster your opponent controls, so they have to play around their zones, you can absorb it, which is actually pretty nice because you get them on, because Relinquished Anima just steals your opponent's monster, gaining a huge amount of attack points. You can get around a pesky card your opponent has as well, and you're doing that just by linking it off a monster that was useless anyway with 0 attack and defense. So it's never dead. That's the reason why I ran that. And that's it for the deck, guys. Nice and simple deck. Again, small casual build. And the reason why I don't run no banned cards is because, you know me, I like to put in deck. I like to make decks for rank matches, obviously playing it or playing against your friends legitimately. And this is what I come up with Steam. With Stream. It's not by the best Exodia deck in the world. But it's nicely done. It did me for some games. So yeah, and end of the day, nice and fun. If you enjoyed this deck, guys, hit that thumbs up or you can consider subscribing. Either one does help out the channel. And without any further ado, guys, I do hope you all have a nice day or night. Take care and goodbye.
Exodia, obliterate!